Good evening, everybody, and welcome to League of Europe Formula 2 Division 2. It's the season finale today at the Sakir International Circuit in Bahrain. We're set for a titanic showdown between XL Cali and VTI Doc. And joining me in the commentary box this week is the delightfully mild-mannered, wonderfully spoken Ariel Nolan. How are you doing, sir?
I'm not doing too bad. I think you forgot to say charismatic and extremely attractive, but we'll let you off this one time.
It's your word against mine there. We can't see your face, so I wouldn't dare put thoughts in people's heads about that. They can make their own minds up if you want to pop a selfie in anywhere. Anyway, as we wait for, obviously it's going to be a dry sprint, dry qualifying, dry feature. It's Bahrain. So weather won't come into play. So we'll have a little run through the championship order as we head into the qualifying. So XL Cali leads VTI Doc by 15 points. Londa Tim he can still win it mathematically. He's 29 points behind. He's on 286. So we'll ride on board with VTI Doc, the man in second in the championship, and we'll see how well he hooks up the very tricky turn 1, 2, 3 section. Even in F1 cars, F2, you've really got to make sure you hook up the traction. He's on mediums actually, VTI Doc. I'm not too sure if that's a softer tyre. I don't follow F2 myself, but he hooks up really well around turn 4 though. Doesn't run too wide, stays to the left hand side, drop the car down through 6 and 7, rides the curbs nicely, doesn't run too wide, does he on the exit? No, he picks the throttle up lovely, moves the car to the left hand side of the track to take the open up turn 8, the hairpin, and then ease the car back to the right. And now this is a really tricky braking zone if you're not on ABS, but everyone will be in these F2 cars. Let's see how well he gets the car rotated. Nicely done. Doesn't use the curb on the exit. That's the straightest way, the quickest way down the back straight. Had a little squirm on traction, but not too bad. Eases the car to the right hand side. Half the car almost off the track because you want to open up turn 11 as much as you can. Now the climb up the hill, straight line 11 and 12 as much as you can, and then take a wide line in, so carry as much speed as possible. End of the second sector, he's in pole position at the moment from championship contender or leader XL Cali. Just one braking zone to go now, 2 corners, but the last one doesn't really matter if you get the first one right. Turn 14, doesn't use as much curb on the outside as you might expect, hooks it up, uses a little bit more inside curb than I would. It's a bit bumpy, it can slow you down, but really nicely done from VTI Doc there, and I think that's pole position with a 39.5, and it is by 3.3 tenths from Cali, the championship protagonists in a league of their own, the only people in the 39s, Jack.
Yeah, it's a great laugh, and a 39.5, even in Division 1 F2, that's going to get you probably around top 10. Probably even better than that, actually. So, proving that the people at the top of the D2 Championship are just about ready now to step into D1, as we saw last week at Spa as well.
Obviously, I was completely ignorant of the tyres. The medium tyre is the softer tyre. I don't know why Codemasters can't just give us soft, medium, hard like they do in F1, but there we go. Everyone qualified on the mediums. The only person who did not is, I can't see their name, as you can see, but it's one of the Campos drivers there. I think it's ISRL Dark. So it's VTI Doc on pole from Cali, Lars, Tim, Alex, Darry, Ryan, Ibo, Don and Dark. Of course, only 10 drivers unfortunately today, but I'm sure they will still give us a cracking show. So
It's interesting actually with qualifying, because especially in a title fight with being 15 points behind, the 4 points for qualifying will mean a lot more than normal, as now he's only 11 points behind going into the feature race.
Thank you for reminding me. I will correct you. It's 2 points for pole in League of Europe. It's 4 in real life, I think. So it does cut Cali's lead to 13 points. And just what would be the juiciest result is Cali finishes 7th and Doc wins, because that would mean that going into the sprint race they are tied on points. But as it is, if they finish as they start, the gap will be 10 points. There's a 3-point difference between first and second. 25 for the win, 22 for second, 20 for third, 18, 16, 14, 12 for 7 as I mentioned, then 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So everyone will be scoring at least 6 points today, which works in I suppose in both drivers' favour. If they have a poor race, they're not going to be punished quite as much as they would otherwise have been. We'll just take a quick look at the tyres. We've got a real mix. In fact, we've got a 50-50 split. We've got Doc and Callie on the mediums. The four behind them, Lars, Tim, Alex, Darry on hards. I know the two Carlins, Tim and Alex, are quite fond of that old strat, and they've made it. It's paid great dividends for them across the season. Ryan on mediums, Ibo on hards, and then Don and Dark on mediums. So, which way are you seeing this one unfolding over 16 laps then?
I think it's interesting because starting on the hards is by far the fastest strategy. We saw it last season from a lot of Division 1 drivers. The only issue is it's a really big risk. If there isn't, obviously we know what turn 1's like because some idiot made a mistake last season Division 1, don't know who that were. But if you're starting on the hards and you get damage, your race without another safety car is pretty much over already. So you're risking a faster strategy, but if you can avoid the safety car and the damage, then you're in a really good spot. So I think Lars, knowing his pace, I think he could be on for a top 2.
If any of these hard riders can stick with Doc or Callie in the opening phases, and there is no safety car as you say, then I think that really puts the ball in the hard driver's court. You've stolen my moment of glory. I had a moment or a statement prepared, ready to say, to make a reference to your turn 1 dive bomb from last season. Yeah.
No, that was Autogear Nolan. I don't know who that. I didn't do that.
Well,
let's hope. I've got the wrong guy.
Let's hope that in a field of 10 cars, none of those manages to do what you did and give about 6 of them wing damage. But
I remember it was me avoiding you actually, so I think you caused that.
I mean, I was I was a victim of your. I mean, you sailed in on the brakes there like Lewis Hamilton in Baku on lap 50 of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix yesterday. So
that's what it were. There was a little lever, you see. It weren't my fault. There's a little lever and it was misplaced.
You had brake magic turned on. That's what it was. So everyone coming in now. AI takes over. Mandatory pit stop is required. They have to use both types of tyre. They can't pit within the first 3 laps, otherwise it does not count. So, how tight do you like it? We've got VTI Doc on the right, XL Cali on your left in Bahrain. It's the season finale and we're underway. Let's see who gets a good start. I think Lars got a good start, even away on the hards there, but it's Doc who leads. Cali, it's a straight drag down towards turn 1. Is anyone going to be brave on the brakes, bold on the brakes? Cali backs out of it. He doesn't fancy anything. We've got the Carlin, Tim, that is going up the side of the almost pinched up against the curb of turn 2 by Cali, just holds on to the position, but now Tim's going to have a run all the way down to turn 4. Doc has already broken away. Looks like they're 3-4 abreast nearly in the back, but Callie holds on to second place. Then it's Tim, then it's Lars who's dropped back a place, then it's Alex in the second car, and then we've got Ryan, Darry, Don, but it's all clean so far through the first sector. But what a start for VTI Doc. He's got exactly what he needs, but he needs Callie to drop more points. Callie stays in second. You have to say the UNI man will be happy with that right now, and that's Ryan and Alex going really close through turn 8 there.
Yeah, it was a brilliant start by Tim. You'd actually have got Callie if it wasn't for the way that the turn 2 kind of just cuts off into turn 3. Obviously, you can't get a run side by side there on the hard tyres. But he got a much better start, and you have to think if he'd have picked the mediums, he'd probably have found himself in P2 right now.
I have to wonder why more people didn't choose the mediums, because if you start, especially if you start in 6th or 7th, there's a chance to pick off a few places if you start on the mediums, give you that extra sticky grip in the first couple of laps. But already there at the front, Doc over a second clear, really stretching his legs from XL Cali, who is doesn't seem, on the first lap at least, to have an answer to VTI Doc's confidence in the race. Tim already again over a second back from Cali, and
he's just about stopped it from going in the wall.
Ryan's lit his rear tyres up, I think, going round the last corner, and that's Alex who's got past him, and he's under real threat now, as I think he's still ghosted on track, and he's going to try and fight it back with Alex, and he does. He goes late, he goes brave on the brakes, but on the medium tyres he's got more grip, and he holds on to 5th place just about. But that was a big lucky escape for Ryan.
Yeah, and you were going back earlier saying how Doc is obviously pulling away and it's not looking good for Cali. If you're Cali right now, you can afford just to sit in second. I know it's obviously not ideal, but with there only being 10 runners, Cali's, if as long as he doesn't crash, he's guaranteed at least 6 points, like you said. So you're going to think, if he can just stay in second place
Oh,
and go
sorry,
to the sprint, what's...
Tim's dropped out of turn 8 and he's lost a place to Lars, he's lost a place to Ryan, no damage, but he's dropped 2 places there just ahead of his teammate, and his teammate tries to have a look around the outside of turn 10. You've got to be a brave man to try any kind of move there, but Tim escapes, luckily, without going round a full 180, but very costly for a man who was in an outside position for the championship. As I said earlier, he's 29 points behind, but I think that may have cost him any chance now with the 2 leaders out in front. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Cali, he's in a good position. He'll be perhaps a bit frustrated that he's losing ground to Doc, but he's just got to keep his head above water and he will be absolutely fine, because the gap will only be 10 points as it is, and given how few drivers we have, 10 points in the sprint race is going to be very hard for Doc to overturn. He'll need some kind of mistake from Cali, and I wish my timing tower was accurate, because there we go, it corrects, because it's saying Lars was 2/10 behind Cali. It's not, it's 3 seconds. So we've got the 2 running away there, and that Dark having a little look at Don in towards turn 1. Lars just covering off from Ryan, but we might see some overtakes now because it's lap 3, so DRS is enabled, and there is Ryan. He's got it open down on the run down towards turn 4. London Tim's under threat as well. Nothing going for Ryan, but what have we got here? We've got nearly 3 cars wide into turn 4. Darius trying to go around the outside of Alex, who himself was having a look at Tim. Tim really botting these guys up. I wonder if that little mistake has cost him some confidence, because he is running a huge train right now. He's falling way off the back of Ryan. Lars, who he lost those places to, and is Alex going to find himself vulnerable to a move in turn 8 here? Darry has a look around the outside, nothing going. And now Don's getting interested. Look at that. Every time someone goes for an overtake, the person behind, it opens them up to the person behind, and Don nearly pushing Darry round turn 10. But this is a feisty battle going on for the second half of the field. Ibo, the only one outside the top 5 who's not in this scrap. But yeah, really great race in there. And Ibo, which has a big moment at turn 10. But the front 3 of, or front 2 I should say, have really romped away on those mediums, aren't they? Doc will be wishing more people are on the mediums to try and get in amongst Cali and try and disrupt him a little bit. But what you said,
got the run now on Darry, I think,
that?
because he might be able to get him. I don't know if this is the smartest move to do a DRS, but he's got the inside run going into the last corner.
This is going to be a straight drag, isn't it, down towards turn 1. Darry's got the slipstream on Alex ahead of him, though. I did wonder, as you said that whether Dom was going to try and go for a double move on Darry and Alex, but he wasn't brave enough for it. And is he now even going to get the move done on Darry? Because who's later on the brakes? Darry's got the outside line. He can brake a little bit later, carry a little bit more speed. Don leaves him just enough room. Round turn 2, but he doesn't. Darry's completely wiped out there. Didn't have the best camera angle, so I'm not sure what happened. Damage, no retirement for the ART driver, but that was... Ooh.
I was actually on board with Darry then, and Don just came across it a little bit. This seems to be the game. We've seen it a few times where the slightest contact can send a car into the wall, and there wasn't really much. You know how hard that corner is, especially with these understeering cars, and the back end of the car just slightly touched his front wing and he were gone.
I'm not sure there's... Just from one take, I don't know if there was too much blame to a portion there, as Alex gets very out of shape through turn 10. I'll tell you what, I'm surprised that Ryan hasn't managed to get past Lars yet, because quick though Lars is, and you mentioned it earlier on, those mediums, you can see from how much Cali and Doc have romped away that, you know, the mediums have got a big advantage in the first few laps of this race, and Lars is doing really well to weather Ryan's storm, and within, you know, a lap, as we enter the pit window soon, it's gonna be, and he's really trying to break the slipstream there down towards turn 14. I think Ryan was a bit close really to be doing that. It's a bit naughty from Lars, but yeah, I'm surprised Ryan's taken this long for Ryan to get in a position now where he can get that overtake done. Lars is going to try and break the slipstream as much as he can, but I think Ryan's got enough with DRS and with slipstream that this is going to be a simple overtake. But who's going to be braver in towards turn 1? Lars knows that he's going to have an advantage at the end of the race. I wouldn't fight this one too hard because he knows he'll be able to stick with Ryan. Because as soon as Ryan's passed, those tyres are past their best now. They'll be starting to go off, and Lars can just sit behind and behind. We've had Don and Alex have swapped places as well, and in fact, Dark's going to try and make it 2 for 1 on the Carlin man, but not this time. Alex just able to defend himself, and Timing Tower is telling me that Lars and Ryan are swapping places again, but that is a lie. But yeah, for 10 drivers, this isn't a bad little race, is it? We've got some really nice battles going on all the way down the field.
Yeah, we've got a good mix of pace. So we've got people like the Tim, who should be on pace up at the front of the field, but the little mistakes that they make. And then you've got people like Don, who may not be the quickest, but we saw in Spa last week, he's so good at just capitalising on people's mistakes. I just saw him with the overtake on Alex there. He went into the first corner very deep, but just cut off Alex going into turn 3, and it's just experience at that point. He just seems to know what he's doing. He doesn't need the pace, especially just to get past someone.
Speaking of mistakes, I said the time I was live, but it was not. I had a complete Murray Walker moment there. Lars did get back past Ryan, so Ryan must have made a big mistake at turn 4. That's why we saw the change of position, because I forgot Ryan got past into 1, and now Lars back ahead. And I imagine with that, if Ryan's going to call it a day on the medium tyres, nope, not this time. I think when would we see him pit? So you can see in the background there, Dark is coming in. He's the first one in. But when would you be pitting, Jack, if this is you in an hour or so's time?
Well, I'm thinking at the end of this lap, or maybe lap 7, I think the drivers at the front, they can afford to stay out for a bit. They're not really racing anybody at this point. Someone like Ryan, if he wants to get the jump on Lars, you'd think he's going to go in the next lap. His delta is down on his previous lap times, and Lars is staying similar to what he's been getting. He's not been improving too much. I think he improved by like 3 thousandths. We say that, Ryan's just gone 2 tenths faster.
He must be happy on those tyres, because you'd think it'd take anything to get a jump. If he can get a jump on Lars, he can gain 2 or 3 seconds. Then by the time Lars has caught up, he might have used the best of his mediums, if indeed he leaves enough time. Ryan goes very deep on the brakes, very late, very brave. The brake discs flaring orange there, but he got away with it, and now he's really close to Lars. Is he going to go for it to 10-11? It's a really short braking zone. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't try it, and he sensibly backs out. You only go down a couple of gears there. It's not really a place to send it unless the car you're trying to overtake is making some sort of a mistake. But out front, we've not checked in with our championship leaders for a while. It's 3.8 seconds is the gap. Callie very much in a race of his own. He's got 4 seconds ahead of him, 5.5 behind. So he is very much just having a testing session out there right now. And Vito Doc Doc's in. I think, is Callie going to follow him? Yes, he is. A Callie's penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That could be huge, especially because Lars is going to be on the medium tyres at the end.
Yeah, this is brilliant for Lars.
It's brilliant for Vito Doc. I'd say it's more brilliant for him than it is for Lars, because if he can if Callie can be forced into dropping a couple more points, it gives him a realistic chance of overturning it in the sprint race. Because I don't think Callie, unless he makes another kind of mistake, is going to lose more than... he could finish 4th. If he finishes 4th, that drops the gap to 6 points. And if it's 6 points, well, that is very doable for Doc in the sprint race, even without Callie making any kind of error. And that is our first penalty, actually. We've not seen a single track limit penalty so far. And I have to say, even with 10 drivers, that's very impressive. Congratulations, F2D2. And even though it's Bahrain, where it's very hard to do, it's still nice to see when no one's picking up penalties. So
yeah, imagine picking up penalties at Bahrain. I couldn't relate. I could not relate.
Well, don't make me bring up the dive bomb again.
The pressure is on Callie now. No, we won't bring up that again. Yeah, the pressure's on Callie now, because he really has to put some laps in before Lars gets on those mediums, because he's going to be on lighter fuel. We know Lars is fast anyway. He's shown that on the hards. So when he comes onto the mediums, he doesn't have to overtake Callie, and he knows that. He can just get within a 5-second gap and kind of sit there. And once he's in DRS, if he can get into DRS, he can just sit behind him and just enjoy a second place.
Oh, Ryan had a big moment in the background coming out of turn 10. He proper, almost tank slapper, went skewed about 20-30 degrees coming out the corner. Picked picked it back up, but that would have cost him a second or so. I am just going to keep an eye on the gap. It was 28.5 at the start of the lap. Don comes in from P3. It's now 28.32. So Callie has taken a couple of tenths out of Lars this lap, but you'd think it'd need to be more to protect himself from Lars on that medium charge, because as it is, I think Lars can get into that 5-second window quite comfortably right now. If Callie's only going to take 2 tenths out of him a lap while he's on those fresh tyres, I don't think that's enough. It's not going to be enough, and RL Jordan's in. Hopefully he can get in for the sprint race. So where's Don going to come out? Is he going to come out ahead of Ryan possibly because of that mistake? No, but it's brought him a lot closer, hasn't it, to the back of Ryan? Only a second and a half, 2 seconds in it or so, and Don, the pole, really closed up to Ryan thanks to that atrocious outlap for the high-tech driver.
Yeah, and it would not surprise me at this point now if Lars decided to go in just a little bit earlier, maybe on probably the next lap, because he's seen that the mediums, they didn't lose too much pace actually after 7 laps. He's going to be on lighter fuel. It wouldn't surprise me if he went in at the end of this lap even, but I think they'd make it. But next lap, I'm going to say lap 9 is probably the one.
There is our first penalty. Yeah, I think you're right as well. Lap 9 would probably be the best compromise. You get probably as much usable life out of the mediums as you can. But yeah, Ibo with our first time penalty of the race. And since Callie's come out of the pits, he's taken half a second out of Lars, pretty much exactly.
Oh, well, Lars has just beaten. He's got his fastest lap of the race at the moment.
Yeah, Callie's
not losing any time.
Yeah, Callie's only barely managing to dip that gap under 28 seconds. So, if Lars pits, he's only going to be... He was 5 seconds behind beforehand. He's only going to be no more than 6 right now, I would say. Perhaps 7 by the end of the lap if those hards really do go off this time round. He's lost a couple of tenths of sector 1, and what are you seeing there?
I've just had a look at the lap times. When he's just got his fastest lap, Lars, Callie has just got a 42.2, which is half a second faster. So he's lapping half a second quicker, and he only improved on his last sector.
It's going to be really tight, I think. It's going to be so tight between those two. It's how well Lars can get up to speed with his mediums and how well they hang with him, because this lap they've really shifted. It's really shifted in Callie's favour, because Callie, after taking half a second out of him in the first lap and a half since he came out of the pits, it's now dropped by another 7 tenths in the lap and a half since, or lap since, and Doc, just on board with him, has a little moment at turn 10. Easy to lose your focus when you're driving around by yourself, as he is. He's got 13 seconds of clean air ahead of him to Alex, and he's got that 5-second gap now to Callie behind him. So
I've just had a check in on Doc's lap times, and he's currently in the 41, so I don't think he's worrying too much at the moment. He is flying, and that's just his first lap on the hards.
Well, he's doing everything he can, isn't he? That's all you can do, really. You can run your race, and he's just got to hope Callie has some kind of problem. Tim into the pits, first of the hard runners. Lars staying out. Maybe he feels comfortable. He'll be able to see his delta to Callie on his screen, because he's in the lead, and Callie's in P5, so he'll see that gap coming down, and there's nothing in it right now to alarm him to think, I need to come in.
But I'm wondering if he's seen his lap times, because Lars is still getting personal best. He's just got a 42.7 again. That's his fastest lap time of the race. I wonder if he's seen that, thinking that he's on the pace. He's just lost 8 tenths to Callie in that lap alone. I wonder if he's seen that Callie's lapping in the 41.9s, but he's thinking that he's on the pace because he's still setting personal best.
It's easy to be deceived by personal bests in F2, as you say. The hards, the harder tyre, whichever it may be, generally does always improve over a stint not just as you burn fuel, but as you build confidence as well, and you rubber into the tyre. So, yeah, I think he's being deceived a little bit by his personal delta, and not focusing so much on the one to Callie. So it was 28.5 seconds when Callie came out of the pits. It's now 26.6, so 2 seconds, and the gap was around 5 when before any pit stops. So he's going to need 2-3 seconds. He's going to have to put a shift on when he comes out. He'll have 6 laps to do it if he comes in this one. He is coming in now, indeed. So just looking further back, Tim is fresh out of the pits. This race will end his championship charge, but he's in a position to make a couple of places here. He's got Don and Ryan really much within range, and he's on the softer tyre, so I think we can see Tim makes progress up with a fastest lap for Doc, a 41.5. But let's look where Lars comes out. You can see Callie there just on the top right of your picture, and must feel an age for Lars coming down the pits. But I have to say, he's a lot closer to Callie than I thought he would be. Callie only round the apex of turn 1. As Lars comes out pits, it's going to be so close with Ryan. He needs to keep this place. He can't afford to get stuck behind Ryan like Ryan was earlier in the race, and they're going to be side by side through 3. If I was Lars, I would just elbows out.
Ryan
I would say
DRS.
He has got DRS, but Callie's going to have Lars going to have more speed and confidence into turn 4. I think on those softer tyres. And if I was Lars, I'd have got my elbows out and said, "I'm having that place." But that is so costly for him. He cannot afford to get stuck behind Ryan. He needs this place. He needs these precious tenths of a second that are going to put him within range of Callie, because right now he's 8 seconds behind Callie, and he needs 3 seconds in 5.5 laps to make it work and get within that penalty window. And if he does get ahead of Ryan, he could even drag Ryan along. You never know.
Well, he lost 1.2 seconds staying out an extra lap. So if he'd have come in a lap earlier when we suspected he'd have come in, he'd have been clear of Ryan, really, because Ryan's not going to catch him at that point, and he'd have just been hunting down Callie. And now he's got to worry of getting past Callie, and if anything, Doc will be hoping he's past Ryan in no time.
Yeah, I mean, for Doc, definitely the best outcome is that Lars gets past, gets the hurry on, and drags Ryan with him. Another fast lap for Doc, 41.4. Lars could break that next lap if he gets past Ryan, but I'm a bit confused as to why Lars felt the need to stay out an extra lap. That was a very costly strategy call. He's got DRS now. He's going to get past Ryan into turn 1. It looks like Ryan will cover the inside line, but I think it's a case of whichever way Ryan goes, Lars is happy to go the other. He outbrakes the high-tech man, sails around the outside on those. I think Ryan just got pinched a little bit up against that high curb. But I'll tell you what, Ryan's got a tremendous.
Perfectly here.
He's got a tremendous exit, isn't he, out of turn 3, and they're side by side towards 4. He's got DRS as he did the last lap, and how brave are these guys going to be? Lars is going to hang it out around the outside, and you know what? He just about pulls it off. Fabulous stuff from Lars there. Ryan has to settle for P4, but now they need to work together. Look at Callie and think if they can really reel him in, because the gap is, what is it? It's 6 seconds now, is it? 6.7 seconds between the two of them, so that's doable. That is more than doable, not just for Lars, but for Ryan as well. And you never know, Don's in that train, Tim is on the fresh mediums, he's in that train. Depending
I think Ryan needs to focus on his race now and kind of accept that Lars is gone. And kind of use Lars to stay ahead of Don. I know it doesn't really affect the championship, but you still want to finish high up. And there's a yellow flag, and it's Darry. Darry's into the wall.
He is into the wall on the exit 8. It's not terminal though. He's back going again. So another fast lap for Doc, 41.0. He's chiseling away at the pace, isn't he? 7.2 seconds is his lead. Now I'll just take a quick look in case if anyone is in penalty range. 1 warning for Doc. None for Callie, none for Lars. Ryan has now got a penalty, so that's very costly for him. But so that takes
just got a 41.0 whilst battling Ryan. So you'd think Lars is probably going to take the fastest lap point away from
and Ryan's made a mistake at turn 2. Sorry to cut across you. Ryan he must have got over the curb or got on the power too early, because that's a costly error, and he's lost out to Don. He's lost out to Tim. But it's released the pair of them onto the back of Lars, and perhaps they can go on and threaten Callie now.
Yes, definitely, and I think it's when it comes to this point, any little point for Doc's going to matter. So if he can keep fastest, he's probably not going to, but he'll just be hoping at this point that Lars can catch up to Callie, get past him. I thought Callie it's a weird mistake to make at Bahrain because you think the speeding penalty going into the pits, it's quite an easy one to gauge compared to other tracks, and it's just little mistakes like that could cost him a championship at the end of the day.
I'll tell you what, Cali last lap did a 42.3. Don did a 41.5 and has just popped in a personal best in Sector 1. Don's not out of this, you know, he's 7.9 behind Cali. If he keeps up this pace, we'll have another look at the times at the end of this lap, but if he keeps up this pace, he could yet pinch a podium, could the Season 4 D4 F1 champion. Doesn't race in Formula 1 anymore, but of course very delighted to have him back in Formula 2, and he's been a really strong driver since his return. And there is that fastest lap you predicted for Lars, a 41.0, and I'll just have another look at the laps. That's Londa Tim making a really huge effort to break the toe behind. So 41.6 for Don that lap, 41.8 for Cali, so more like it for the UNI man, but he can't afford any sort of mistakes. And we'll just drop back a little bit, look at that Tim battle. He's doing some extreme toe braking from Ryan there, like Nico Rosberg-esque in what year was it? I forget. But Rosberg and Mazepin both did that extreme pulling to the right side of the track up to turn 4, because it's so easy to get a good run out of 1 and 2 if the guy ahead of you has slightly compromised exit. You have such an advantage all the way up the hill. So not surprised Tim's doing it, but if he keeps doing it, that might be a little bit naughty. Lars now within a tenth of Cali's penalty window. In fact, he's just dropped into it through turn 10, or he had done very briefly, but I think that's a given now, that unless he makes a mistake, Lars is going to be inside Cali's window, and he's going to get him at the end of the race.
Yeah, and Cali needs to be careful, because if he makes a big mistake, if he could lose a second or so, Don's going to be thinking, I could get inside that as well, get himself a podium, which is exactly what he did at Belgium. He was nowhere, and he just got himself onto the podium. I think we're looking at Ryan, Dark and Alex, and this is the fight for reverse grid pole, which obviously, that's the difference between the feature and the sprint. We're going to see Doc and Cali have to fight their way through, which obviously Cali finishing a bit lower down this race may help him a bit starting further on at the top, as I think that's Ibo going round. Ibo
liberally getting out of the way for a lap to be lapped there by Doc. So it's, the gap is coming down with Don, isn't it? It's 7.6, 7.7. It's not coming down enough. We've only got 2 laps left. Unless Cali makes a mistake, Don isn't going to get inside that now. I think it's safe to say, but he's not having necessarily the best time of it, is Cali. He doesn't look like he's quicker than Doc at the moment, though. He's quicker than Doc, but he's certainly not showing the pace that the two of them showed at the start of the race when they really pulled away from that chasing pack. It's I think there'll be enough in this. He'll have had enough in this feature race to unsettle Cali, to make him a little bit nervous for the sprint, because for the sprint he's starting in the middle of the field. Everyone's going to be on the same tyres. In the feature race, he had the advantage of starting on the front row and on quicker tyres than the 4 cars behind him. So completely different ball game, isn't it, for the sprint? And I don't think this race has necessarily been enough to say, yeah, this title is Cali's. He's just got to keep it out of trouble, because you know what? I don't necessarily think it is done. I don't think it's dusted, but I don't want to tempt fate.
Well, we've seen, obviously, Doc, we know how the title fight, Cali is first, but Doc has missed a considerable amount of races this season, so we know the fact that he's still in a title fight, having missed those races, we know he's extremely fast. The difference is here is Cali's going to, if it stays like this, he's finished in 3rd place, he's going to be a couple of spots ahead of Doc on the start. Doc's got Darry right behind him, and Darry, he'll be starting ninth. He's had some bad luck this race, but he's a very quick driver since he's joined F2. He has been near the front most of the time, so I think Doc having to deal with Darry and make his way through the field could come to Cali's benefit if he can make his way through a few drivers.
It's unfortunate we've not had a safety car, because as you know, Jack, you can always gain a couple of places under safety cars at Bahrain. But I'll tell you what, he's on a charge. Ryan's on a charge, isn't he, on this last lap? Look at that. Tim, not confident at all. Is Ryan going to send this into turn 8? He is. He goes late. He goes brave. He surges down the inside, bumps Tim out of the way. No harm
Campbell
done
special,
there.
that.
Campbell special, but he got the move done. Is Tim going to fight it back into 10? He's going to hang it out, wait for DRS, but he takes too much curb, I think, round the apex of 10, and that's going to cost him down the straight. He's not going to get quite the exit he needed, but has he got enough overspeed to get this back? He'll have a slight toe off Ibo ahead of him. Ibo again getting out of the way as he does, and I think that might be it. Ryan got a better exit there coming out of turn 11, but we're going to switch to the man who has not put a foot wrong this race. It's VTI Doc. He leads. He's second in the championship, but he leads this race. He wins this race by 6.6 seconds pre-penalties. 6.5 seconds. It's going to be 11.5. Lars, is he going to sneak inside that 5-second window? Just about by a tenth of a second. Those Williams did go away in the end. Don takes fourth. Impressive drive for him. Ryan is going to slip back with that penalty. Takes 7th place. It's Tim 5th. Dark 6th. Ryan 7th. Alex some way down, but he's going to take sprint race pole in P8, and then Darry, who had that issue with Don at turn 2, he's going to come home some way down the road in 9th. Ibo, being a lap down, has already finished the race, so we just wait for Darry. But I have to say that's whet my appetite for the sprint, because what have we got? We've got a 8-point gap now. So it was 15. Doc cut that by 2 in qualifying. He's cut it by another 5 in the feature race, but he's found 7 points. He needs to find 8 more in the sprint, and I wonder if
extremely difficult in the sprint race, considering the points are not the same as the feature. So he needs Callie to have a really, really bad race, and I think maybe having Lars in between them, it could work for either their benefit, because it's not just going to be. If Doc was starting second, he'd probably fancy himself on pace just to get past, but he needs more than that. He needs Calais to get caught up in something.
In the sprint, it's 18 points for a win, 15 for second, 13 for third, 12 for fourth, 11 for fifth, 10 for sixth, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1, down to 15th place. So even if Callie doesn't finish, but he finishes last, he gets 6 points, as he would have done in the feature race, which means that at the very least Doc needs to finish to outscore him by the 8 points he needs to finish at least second. The only way he can finish lower than second is if Callie doesn't finish the race under 90%, because then he won't score. So yeah, he needs a top 2, does Doc. That's a given. And then if he gets the top 2, if he wins, Callie has to finish 6th, and if he's second, Callie has to finish 9th. So there's very little wiggle room for Doc.
In a very selfish way, I would love to see this race come down to a fastest lap point. This
that
championship with a fastest lap point would be a great way to end it.
Well, Lars pinched the fastest lap off Doc, so that denied Doc chance to pick up another point. But I will run through the results. So it's VTI Doc that wins from pole. Lars is second. Costly penalty for Callie. He's third. Don 4th. Tim 5th. Dark 6th. Ryan 7th. Alex 8th. Darry 9th. And Ibo is in 10th. He finished a lap down. So it's going to be Alex and Ryan on the front row for the sprint race. Our championship contenders, Doc in P8 out of 10, and Callie in P6. So you say Lars between them and Darry just behind them. We've got Jordan as well for this race, so he'll be starting P11. So and he's quick. We've seen his consistency all season long, have we? Ariel Jordan, he's 5th in the championship. He won the Dutch sprint race, his only win of the season. But let's have a little stroll down memory lane, shall we, before the sprint race in the interval here. We'll have a look at the seasons of these drivers. So Callie has picked up, well, it took him a long time to win a race. It wasn't until the Russian feature race at round 6, nearly halfway through the season, that he picked up a win. Up until then, he'd taken second in Brazil feature, second in Brazil sprint, third in Brazil Britain feature, third in China sprint, third in Dutch sprint, second in Abu Dhabi feature, and then he's had a really strong run since. A win in the Russian feature race, another podium in Azerbaijan sprint, a double podium at France, including a feature race victory, and then second in the feature and third in the sprint at the last 2 rounds in Austria and Belgium. Only 2 race wins, but his consistency and podium finishes is what put him there. Doc, on the other hand, well, he's been all about the wins. You said earlier he'd missed a few rounds. He's missed 3 rounds, but the ones he's attended, he's won 8 races. Brazil sprint, Britain feature, China feature, Azerbaijan feature, Singapore feature, Austria, he won both races, Belgium feature, and now Bahrain feature to make it win number 9. So you have to say on pace he's been the standout driver of the season, but you know, you've got to turn up for every race, you've got to be there to win it, and he's not been there. If he'd come at those other races, you have to say, again, as you alluded to earlier, he would have had this championship probably sewn up by now himself, rather than Cali. But
yeah, well, you look at the way his season's gone. Remarkable. One weekend is from the races he's turned up at, there's only been one where he has not won a race, and that was at Russia, which of course Cali ended up taking the win in the feature. So you'd think it's easy to say, well, if he'd have turned up, he'd have won, but Cali turns up every week. Apart from Singapore, obviously, he wasn't there, but he turns up. You can only deal with the cards you're dealt, and he's got the points he needed to get. And if Doc doesn't win this week, you can't say Cali doesn't deserve it, because he's turned up every week. He's been, when you look at his points, for the most part, he's been very consistent, and he'll deserve it if he can get it. So I'm going to give you 2 options now. I want you to predict the podium for this race, but I also want you to predict the championship as well.
Just to go on what you said, you're absolutely right in turning up, and especially with the points so close for each position. Turning up, like they say, possession is 9/10 of football. Turning up is 9/10 of doing well in league racing. It has such a huge benefit. But I'm going to go Cali for the championship. I can't see him throwing this away. Touch wood.
XL bias.
I'm never biased in my commentaries. I don't want to see any driver throw it away. Is more of it. If it was the other way round, you don't like seeing any driver have a horrible race, even whether it's in their control or out of their control, and throw a championship away. As for this race, I think Doc is going to win it, and I think Tim is going to come second and Alex third. I'm going to say a double podium for Carlin, but we'll find out soon in 12 laps time. So Ryan on your left this time, Alex on your right on sprint race pole, and our final race, the Formula 2 D2 season's underway. Really good start from the front two, and Londa Tim as well. Poor reactions for Dark, that's cost him a couple of places there, 4 abreast. Look at Doc already challenging Cali down towards turn 1. The 2 championship contenders are going to be side by side, and Doc sends it. Is he going to hit Ryan in? He absolutely does. Cali comes out on top. The 2 Carlins romp away at the front, so we've got Alex from Tim, from Ryan, Cali, and yet Doc's got front left end plate damage. He needed some patience. Cali's got damage as well, though. They both have. You know, this is maybe Senna and Prost. They've taken themselves out into turn 1, or rather Doc's taken them out into turn 1, and you know, they've taken themselves completely out of this race because both have got massive damage. But because they've both got massive damage, that completely gives the championship to Cali.
Yeah, Doc, he just had to be patient. How does anyone do that into turn 1? I will never ever know. But he has absolutely thrown himself a chance. He got such a good start as well. He didn't really need to do that.
Oh, and Lars is out. Lars is round. Lars is round. We've got a yellow flag. He's out of the race. Is that a safety car?
Could this help them?
Is that a safety car? And if it's a safety car, do we get a chance for our leaders to change? No, there's nothing coming on screen yet, and I don't think it's going to be a safety car. I think that's it.
He's at the back. He's at the back of the field. I think it's not even going to be anything. I think we're just going to be normal, and that'll be great for Cowley. He would not have been wanting a safety car at all. Yep,
green flag conditions, and we might even see an overtake soon because Ryan really hounding the back of Londa Tim into turn 14. Tim goes a little bit deep. Can Ryan get a smoother exit, straighter exit? It looks like Tim took a wider line. He was able to carry a little bit more speed, and that just protects him enough from Ryan and High Tech behind. So end of lap 1, it is Alex from Tim, from Ryan, from Cali, from Don, from Doc, from Dark, Darry, Jordan and Ibo Lars already out of the race after his second place in the feature. Unfortunate for him. But
well, if things stay the way they are, the championship seems sorted, so we can just kick back and watch this race. And Ryan B.
Sorry, and it is Doc and Callie again into turn 4, and they bump wheels again. I don't want to. I wouldn't dare suggest such a thing, but Doc's only chance now is Callie doesn't finish the race, and he's right next to him. So, you know, if he was feeling gutsy going into the steward's room and explaining himself, he might fancy doing something about that. But I wouldn't dare condone it, and if it did happen, I would just criticise him non-stop on stream. But
it depends if he's a Schumacher fan.
The option is there. You know, Callie's in front of him. He's got that chance to try and cost Callie some points. I mean, even if that was the case, though, Doc would need to gain a couple more places himself, even in 4th. If he was in 4th and Callie was 10th, that wouldn't be enough for him, because what would the gap be? 4th place is 18 points, 10th is 6. No, it would be enough, sorry, it would be enough. So you know, Doc, if he wanted to, he could.
What
but
we're saying, Doc, is don't break into this next corner. That's what we're saying. Make it interesting.
We've got Don Hound in the back of Doc into 14, and that's going to be a problem for Doc. If he wants to stay with Callie and hope something happens, or make something happen, Doc, he can't afford to lose out to Don. He's got to keep his pace up. He's got to keep ahead of the pole behind him in that MP. I think it's an MP. I'm terrible with my F2 cars. Shame on me. But,
SMP. SMP. There we go.
But that's Doc. He's in the Prima.
It says SMP.
Oh, and Ryan's round at turn 4. Vettel.
I thought it was Callie.
Vettel-esque. That was a huge spinella moment for our second man on the grid in this sprint race, and Doc very close to the back of Callie, isn't he? This reminds me of not Schumacher, Hamilton and Rosberg. Obviously, Hamilton had no intention of taking Rosberg out of the race, but he just backed him up in the hopes that he'd take himself out, or someone else would. And that's what Doc's got to do. He's got to try and make Callie make a mistake, but his problem is that Callie knows. He just has to finish the race where he is, and that's the championship. So
I think every time someone's spinning out, Callie's going to be holding his breath, seeing those yellow flags, hoping it doesn't say safety car, because that's Doc's only chance at the moment, you'd think. But even then, Doc has to get top 2, like you said. It's not going to be enough.
I think we're going to see a duel between the two Carlins here. Tim's he pulls out a slipstream on Alex. He's going to hang back for DRS on the main straight. Goes very late, within a couple of feet of hitting the back of his teammate, but he's got a tremendous exit, stuck right
Doc's
with.
Got a great run on Callie as well.
We've going to see a double overtake here. Here comes Doc on Callie, and there goes Alex on Tim ahead of you. So Doc up into a podium place, and here's come Don. Don's going to send it as well on Callie. That's no problem for Callie. He can afford to lose that place. He's just got to keep his head, but he tries to cut back, and they were nearly 3 wide through turn 2. But now Doc going to have a run on Callie. They'll all have DRS, so they're all neutralising each other. But there's Don on Doc. Is Don, after hurting Callie, is going to do him a favour, and Callie's having a look at Don, is he? Sensibly doesn't get involved, and Don's dropped it now out of turn 4.
I think he held on to it.
He held on just.
He's lost some time, but this is showing that the wing damage is going to get worse as the race goes on for Callie and Doc. They're going to get hounded more by these drivers behind, and obviously they don't want to finish slow down, but Callie won't mind this as long as both of them fall down as well.
The problem is, what you say get worse, is the problem because of the front wing damage. It takes away some of the front downforce. So to carry the same amount of speed, it puts more load on mainly your front left tyre round here, and it's going to make the tyres heat up more. Don't know if overheating is an issue, but it's also going to make the tyres wear more because they're having to work harder to get the same amount of turn, the same amount of performance and grip on the track. So I think their tyres are going to wear a little bit quicker than those behind them, but Doc's really keeping with Alex and Tim, isn't he? He could yet win this race, could Doc? He could yet win this race. I don't want to, tempt fate.
But you got this. Come on.
he's got DRS in the back of Alex, and he'll be hoping Alex gets dropped from his teammate. It's an awful moment when you want to say something and you can't think of quite the turn of phrase you need to, and there goes Don. Is he up the inside of Dark into turn 1? Dark's force a little bit wide. Don's going to hang it around the outside of 2. Dark very giving with the amount of space he left the pole, and Don takes 5th place for his troubles. But ahead, well, we've got Doc, Alex, Tim, and Callie's been dropped slightly.
Yeah, it does just show how fast Doc really is in these cars and how ready for Division 1 I think he is, because him and Callie have damaged Callie as well, to be fair, but we've got the Tim, who is 3rd in the championship. He's no slouch in this division. He is 3rd in the championship, and they're struggling to pull away from Doc and Callie, who both have wing damage.
Well, how's this for how finely poised it is? If Doc, clearly he's got the pace, because he's got the pace on Alex now, he's going to have a look into turn 11. I wouldn't do that if I were you, because it's, as I said, very short braking zone. But if Doc is somehow able to pull a miracle out of his backside and win this race, if Callie stays 4th, the gap is 1 point. The gap is 1 point, and if Don takes Callie, that makes it 1 point in Doc's favour. It's going to come down to the odd point. This is as tense and as gripping as you like it for a season finale.
Can Doc get a fastest lap with wing damage?
Well,
if he could pull that out of absolutely nowhere, then it's level. What happens then?
Fastest lap for Don, and here goes Doc. Alex squeezed him all the way to the outside of the track. He's desperate to hang on to this place, Doc, and they go so deep. They almost took each other completely out of it. Callie right out behind Doc, and Callie squeezes past Alex, and now is Don going to do the same? Penalty for Jordan down in the background. Don's going to get past Alex here into turn 4, or is Alex going to send it? They're both really close, and Callie taps the back of Doc. Was that a naughty moment from Doc? There was Doc brake testing Callie into 4. Is that what you saw? I was looking behind Callie.
Really slow. It did seem like I don't want to be that guy, but it seemed like a very, very slow. And all 3 drivers got piled up. As you can see now, it's gone back. Don's fallen behind Alex. All 3 of them had to kind of avoid damage. And he's going slower again. Has he got... I think I'm bored with Doc. Has he got more damage? Or is he just...
I think...
struggling? I'm not sure.
Perhaps
I don't want to be that guy.
Perhaps he's given up on having any chance of taking Tim, and he's thought, my best chance with this train behind me is to push Callie down the order. He needs, well, at the moment it's 6 points as it stands, so he needs Callie to drop 3 places, and there's 4 cars behind them in this train. So that is where we stand right now, and that looks like it might be Doc's plan, is to force Callie to lose some positions. And there goes Don looking at Alex on the inside of turn 14. Nothing going on this occasion, but
Doc going around that last corner sideways, and if Doc can pull this plan off, it's...
Callie's going to go for it here though, and how much is Doc going to try and send this and force Callie to back out? I think he can't let Callie get ahead of him. He can't let Callie get ahead of him.
Callie has to be careful here, because Doc looks like he's going to do anything to get this championship.
I don't know why Callie is trying so hard to get this. Doc goes so deep into 4. Is he able to pull it back? Doc is squeezed, and he's got a penalty. Is he going to protest that? Is he going to say he's been forced off by Callie? Is he going to say Callie forced him off? Is he going to protest that and try and get it removed?
Brian's around.
Because we know...
a little bit,
this is getting feisty. Well, we know time penalties for corner cars are only removed if drivers make a case that they've been forced off. And Darry makes a mistake at turn 10.
Can't get another warning if he wants to protest that. If you're Callie, do you go for this or do you just sit? He's got a penalty. Do you risk Doc in the nicest way possible not giving you damage?
He's putting himself at tremendous risk here, as you say. I don't think this is worth it, because Doc's going to go this back into turn 13. Jesus, my Gideon. These boys, they, I need a pacemaker after this race, I think.
Irish Fury coming out.
And Alex is going for it on Doc. Is Doc going to keep ahead just
Oh,
about?
Don, look at Don, look at Don. Oh no.
Oh my word. And Callie has got 4 cars behind him. They're all close enough to overtake him. There goes Alex.
Oh
Here
my-
comes Doc. Here comes Don. Dark's tucked in behind. Are they all going to go for it? How much is Callie going to go for it?
I can hear noise.
Doc's nearly spun round there. He's lost all of the places. He's lost 3 of them. And I think Alex has escaped this one now. And what's Callie going to do? Is Doc going to go for it? Is Don going to go for it?
This is crazy.
This is the craziest race I've commentated on. And it's between 5 cars.
Callie, just stay in third. Enjoy your life. You've got the championship if it stays like this.
Well, I know Larkin will be in his ear commentating him. Larkin's been in this situation where you just need to finish the race. I'm sure he'll be telling him, don't fight it. Doc is in. He's 2 places behind Callie. He's got a penalty. Penalty for Dark now as well. Everyone behind Callie, the 3 cars behind him, all have time penalties. Callie doesn't need any risks here. He can let these cars go and he'll still have the places he needs.
In the night, I don't want to be, but in the nicest way, I don't think Callie wants his car anywhere near Doc's, because the only way Doc manages to pull anything here is if Callie doesn't finish the race.
Oh, I tell you what, Doc is not getting this penalty removed. He's picked up a warning since on this lap.
Don's going to get the run on Callie. Is he going to wait? I think he'll wait. He's a smart. Yeah.
Trouble is, Callie's going to have DRS on the back of Alex as well. And he's
Callie's
close enough.
In a situation where if he can avoid a penalty, he's fine. He doesn't need the 2nd place. But what is happening here? A quick congratulations to the Tim whilst we have a little break, because he has been dominant at the front whilst these guys have been scrapping.
It's only a little break indeed, because here comes Callie squeezed to the track's extreme by Alex towards turn 4. He gets past, but
so
he
deep.
goes so deep. Callie, these are not risks you need to take.
No!
He's
No!
why is he fighting this? Why?
What? And Don's in 2nd place.
And here goes Doc.
Oh, Doc's gonna go around. Oh my lord! Callie.
Why is Callie fighting this? The championship is won if he just keeps his head. And Doc nearly hitting the back of Doc there. Maybe he's like, he wants this podium. He wants this podium because he wants 2nd place. But the trouble is, well,
I mean, Alex, a borderline give him genuinely nothing. He squeezed him until there was nowhere else to go. It was good defending, mine, but Callie, as soon as he knows that Alex is one of holding on to this position, just back out of it. You have no reason to try that at all. Just wait for a bit. If you know you're faster, there's still another 3 laps to go.
I have to say, this is one of the most bonkers races I've ever had the pleasure of commentating on in my short commentary career. And well, how are we with 3 laps to go? It's Don in 2nd, Alex in 3rd, Callie is 4th. He's looking at Alex again. Darry passes Dark for P6.
Callie has a podium. They've got a podium right now because Don's got his penalty. So I don't understand. But where's Larkin at? Larkin needs to say something.
I'm sure Larkin's got us on mute. I'm sure he's in constant communication with Callie. But if he's not on mute, tell your man to calm down because he's got this in the bag. Doc's only option now, I think, is if Callie DNFs. Although the way Callie's driven this race, that would not surprise me.
Can Doc wins this, doesn't he? If Callie DNFs,
if Callie DNFs,
Doc lose a position to Darry.
Yeah, if Callie DNFs, Doc has won this because he would finish at least 9th, which is what he needs. But we're now, well, within a lap and a half, we're inside 90%. So I believe Callie should get his points for finishing 10th if he retires from 1.5 laps on. Well, Alex is out of DRS range of Don, so Cali could go for this again here. He's 3.5 tenths behind into the braking zone of 14. He'll probably lose a little bit for his wing damage around the last corner. Gets a nice exit though. It's still staying under half a second as we go down the main straight, and here we go. So, Cali, do you fancy taking a podium on track? And well, you've seen how Alex is defending, but it's not deterring Cali. He looks down the outside. He forces Alex into a tighter line round 1. He'll cut back and swing underneath for 2 and 3, and Alex had an awful exit there through 3, and is he going to squeeze Cali now? He shapes right, forces him to the left. My co-commentator's getting extremely excited alongside me. Alex goes the inside, and Cali's got the move done. He's got it done. But
Alex was unbelievably close to smashing the back of Cali's car then.
And here comes Doc up the inside of turn 8.
What's he doing?
He's nipped it through. What an overtake from VTI Doc, and now with 1.5 laps to go, he's back in range of Cali. He needs just to get in DRS and hang it in there, and he could even send it into turn 1 or to turn 4. So well, I'm almost out of breath. We got 1.5 laps to go. So Cali's past 90%.
Cali's won this, but this race is so crazy that I don't want to say that's going to happen.
Penalty for Ryan B. He's 51 seconds behind Jordan. I'm not sure when that happened. I wasn't paying attention. But Cali's back.
I'm sorry, Tim.
He's got the DRS track. Well, Don's catching him. Don is catching him at a rate of knots. He's cut about a second and a half from his lead since he's got past this little gaggle. But Doc, 7 tenths of a second. We're on to the last lap of the season, and it started in Brazil, and it's going to end one way or another in this sprint race in Bahrain. And is Doc, it's do or die. It's now or never for the Irishman for the Prima. Is he just going to send it at 4? He's got nothing to lose. He's lost this championship anyway. He may as well just go for it. He's not close enough. Cali holds on for another corner, but turn 8, turn 10, turn 11, all overtaking opportunities, even if they don't have DRS. And Cali needs to focus on every apex, every exit, every curb. He needs to hook everything up. 0 mistakes. He goes a little bit deep, has a tiny slide through 8, but it's not enough for Doc. He's still 4 tenths of a second behind. He's not going to be able to send it into turn 10. He's running out of opportunities to get Cali and hope he makes a mistake. So I think Cali has done this now with just a few corners to go. I'm a commentator, I'm allowed to curse it. So we go through turn 11, up the hill of 12. Is this Cali's coronation? He's got a guard of honour in waiting behind him. He's going to lead this train over the line. It's going to be Alex and Doc and Darry all behind him. Tim's not put a foot wrong. He comes towards the last corner now.
Send it.
Doc's got a great run. Is he going to send it? He may as well. He decides not to. Cali goes a little bit deep. I wonder if that just spooked him a little bit. Tim crosses the line. He wins the sprint race. But you have to say, take nothing away from Cali. He resisted everything this race could throw at him. He is your Formula 2 Division 2 champion, the first Division 2 champion in Formula 2, and well, and breathe.
Was incredible.
That was a remarkable race. He takes the championship in the end. He outscores Alex by 10 points. We had 12 rounds, 24 races, and it comes down in the end to just 10 points. If buts and maybes, but if Doc had attended those other races, he may well have been champion instead. But Cali did everything he needed to do. He was the consistent one all along. Only won a couple of races, but that was enough for him. The France feature and the Russia feature, and now he ends with a third successive sprint race podium. And well, Unquestionably driver of the season. He is driven with a calm, cool and collected head through it all. Fabulously deserving champion. Tim, great race from him, and Doc, wonderful challenges all season long, and they deserve all the plaudits they can get as well. XL Don, driver of the day according to the game, he takes second place today, but it's lovely to see Callie on the podium as he wins the title. Not always the case that drivers win the title on the podium, but on this occasion he ends with a double podium, a pair of third places in the end, enough to see off the challenge of Doc, who ultimately only outscored him by 5 points this event, and it was more than enough for Callie. He was tremendous all season long, as I said, and what a way to end. What a race to end. Race of the season is our final race of the season, and I will just run through the final result as well. So it's the last Formula 2 race, not just the season, of F1 2020, and it's been 2 great seasons, and it's been a pleasure having you all along with us for F2 Division 2. But it's Tim who wins from 4th on the grid. Great race from him. 3rd in the championship as well, sealed. 2nd place for Don. 3rd for Callie, our champion. Alex is 4th, and Carlin from pole position. Darry is 5th. Doc is 6th. It wasn't enough for him after all the madness and drama. Dark is 7th. Jordan is 8th after not taking part in the feature. Ibbo is 9th. Ryan 10th, and Lars the only DNF in P11. So, how would you like to wrap up not just the round, not just the race, but wrap up the season? Jack, I have to say, you've not commented every race, but it's been a pleasure having you, and there's been some cracking races all the way through.
I feel like I've got very lucky with the races I've turned up for to commentate Division 2. They've been crazy. The sprint races in particular have been insane, and I think obviously we've seen a few, not as high numbers towards the end of the season, but I think we've seen a lot of regular people showing up most weeks, and it's been really good to see the people that obviously still care and are still trying to get points even when they're not particularly in a title fight. And I think the level of racing, obviously at the start we saw a bit iffy, but throughout it all for Division 2 F2 we've seen some really, really good racing. Like that was one of the best races I've seen, never mind commentated on. I think it's just been really interesting to see people be able to show what they can do in F2.
I think that race is, and the whole season, the season as a whole, has been testament to the fact that you don't necessarily need a full lobby for a great race. And I give you Exhibit A, F2D2, Exhibit B, F1D1. One has 20 drivers every week, the other has 11 or 12, and yet F2D2, I would say, no disrespect to F1D1, delivers tremendous entertainment. You'd never see a race like we just saw in Division 1 of F1. No disrespect to the drivers or the commentators there. It's a fabulous division, but yeah, I dread to think the chaos and carnage we would have had with full lobbies all the way through. But even with just half
really
lobbies, it's been amazing.
Game, we get 2 divisions. I hope the interest peaks again with the new game coming out, and I hope we get 2 divisions, because I think it's so good to have this division in F2 when it all goes smoothly.
It makes it more fun for everyone around if you're competing at your own level. There's no fun in Division 1 drivers finishing 50 seconds ahead of half the field, and there's no fun for Division 2 drivers finishing 50 seconds behind half the field. So hopefully we get 2 divisions, and hopefully we have a season as good as the one we've just had, with even more drivers and more carnage and chaos and more great drives. There's been so many great drives this season, but that concludes F2 Division 2 in League of Europe, round 12. Thank you very much for tuning in all season long. It's been a pleasure to take you along for the ride, and I would like to thank yourself, Jack. I'd like to thank SMM Matthias. I'd like to thank XL J Cole, XL Tin Can, Ariel Ryan, Ariel Nathan, all of the wonderful people we've had in the commentary box over the course of the season. Thank you for filling in where needed, and thank you for those that commented alongside me. Been a pleasure with all of you. But that ends the season. Please tune in again for F2 next game, hopefully starting around August time in and we'll have some new tracks as well. We'll see F2 cars bashing around Portimao, sorry, and Imola. But
And the
that's
newly
all.
updated Australia.
And the newly not so much updated Australia. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. Until next time.